Do you want to take your Jeep from looking like this to this? Then sit back and watch this video. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time of day you are watching. Thank you for joining me. Alright, so as you can tell by the title on the thumbnail, we're going to be doing a full LED exterior upgrade on the Jeep Grand Cherokee. So if you own one, you might want to watch this. So I got a little bit of sunlight left, as you can tell, but here I'm showing you the before. This is with the stock halogens, most of you that I'm sure are running, and everybody else that has the really fancy ones, well, this video is not for you. So we're going to do the fronts, and I'm going to show you the rears. So everything from the backup lights, which is also your turn signal, reverse tail lights so you can see better in the dark when you're reversing with your really dark and tinted windows. And then we're going to do your headlights so they're not this ugly yellow color. And then we're going to swap out the front turn signals and the fog lights for something else. So that's what we're going to do. Honestly, it's a pretty quick process. The only process that really sucks are the front headlights. Fog lights are easy. Rear tails are easy. And it's just going to look so much better. Let me show you what the reverse lights look like first. Alright, so here's a view of the turn signals. I have the hazards on. And how the reverse lights are on. You can see that little yellowish tinge, that really lazy blink from the halogens. Now the reverse lights do it some justice. You can somewhat see, but if you got tinted windows, you definitely don't see where you're going. So you need to rely on what you need to rely on. Then your front turn signals, as you can tell, they're really lazy and they're really orange. Let's go for a little bit of a different look. Let's jump in. I'm going to move it over by the garage, and then we'll get to it. Let's do it. Alright, let's get started on the rears first. You got the stop lamp and then the turn signal doohickey. Then you got your reverse lights, because they're back here just like everything else. But let me show you what I'm using. Here are the LEDs I'm going to be using. I just picked these because I thought this would be the best way to go. I've got all the little bulbs. I am not sponsored by any of these companies, so it doesn't even matter. Headlights, fogs, that's what I'm going to be using, and that's what I'm going to be installing. Alright, the outer taillights. They're super easy. They're held on by these 2 push pins and some pressure clips around the edges. You'll need a flathead screwdriver to pry them out. Start with the center pin, then the rest should come out easy. Now, this part isn't the prettiest. You'll want to grab onto the taillight and just pull straight back. A little effort might be needed, but if you try, it'll come out just like this. So, this is your brake turn signal connector, and this is your reverse light connector. All you need to do is turn the connector to the left, and it should come right out. Same thing for the reverse light. The LEDs you'll need for your brake lights are 3157s. But don't get these lace fit ones. After installing, they actually caused a hyperflash error. I ended up swapping them out for a set of these JDM A-Star LEDs. I've been using this exact set for about 8 months now without any issues. To put in your new fancy LEDs, just pull out the outdated halogen bulbs and put in the new ones. It should not matter which way it goes in, it should work either way, but test it just to make sure. Some brands are finicky. So these lace fits I'm putting in are for the reverse lights, and they work great. But feel free to get whatever brand you want. These ones are good too. Just make sure the LED size you get are either 7440s or 7443s. Alright, let's put it back together. Now, put in the connectors, give them a turn, make sure they don't fall out, slide your housing back on, and put your push pins back in. That's it. Now, this is a time lapse of me doing the passenger side in one go, just to show you how quick, easy, and painless this all is. When you're picking out LEDs, don't buy the cheapest ones. Unless you absolutely have to, then just stick with the stock bulbs. Also, you don't need the most expensive ones either. To put in perspective, I spent right under $160 for this entire upgrade, so keep that in mind. With those done now, let's do the inner reverse lights. Sadly, they are hidden behind the plastic cover on the tailgate. Start with the frontmost outer edge and pull down slowly but firmly. There are a lot of cheap plastic fasteners, so be careful and don't break any, okay? That's your inner reverse light and your tailgate light. You're welcome to change out both if you'd like. You'll just need a 921 LED for the reverse and a 194 for the tailgate. For reverse, I'm using lace fit again. The reason for this was because I wanted to try and use one brand for everything, but apparently that did not work. Here's a close-up of all the plastic fasteners I mentioned earlier. They are all around the edge and they break easily, especially when you're trying to reattach the plastic cover to the tailgate. Now, doing so, start with the frontmost part and work your way around. Just go slow and try your best to line up all the fasteners to their dedicated holes. You'll hear a satisfying click with each one you do, so enjoy it. And here's another time lapse of me doing the exact same thing to the other side. I promise this won't take long, so don't skip through. See? That didn't take long. So shut the tailgate and take a good look on what you have just accomplished. It looks 100 times better, am I right? Since all that was easy, let's turn this Jeep around and work on swapping the front lights to LEDs as well. While I'm turning this around, let me tell you about today's video sponsor. It's Brondo. It's what our Jeeps crave. It's got electrolights. And without Brondo, our Jeeps wouldn't have those electrolights. So go out and buy Brondo. I'm starting with the fog lights first. Make sure to turn your tires out from whatever side you're working on. It'll give you more room. Then you'll have to remove a 1/4 turn screw and a 10mm bolt from inside the fender liner. Once both of those are removed, pull back on the liner and reach up and grab the fog light. And just like all the others, turn it to the right and it should come out. To remove the bulb, you'll have to pull up on both of these tabs. Then you can go ahead and connect your new LED. For fog lights, you'll need a pair of H11 LEDs to do this. Put them into the housing, replace your 1/4 turn screw and your 10mm bolt, and repeat on the other side. Now, let's go topside. This is where it gets a little bit harder, so on the driver's side, go ahead and remove the entire airbox. Doing this will give you all the room you need to change out the turn signal, low beam, and high beam. I'm just doing the turn signal and low beam. I don't see a reason to change the high beam since I don't use them enough. With the airbox removed, that brown connector is for your turns. Turn it to the left and it comes out. You can replace this with any 7440 or 7443 LED, either white, amber, or a switchback LED. That is what I'm using here. Do you see that rubber cover? Take it off. Inside is your low beam, twist it, and it should come out. Pull up on the tab, and the bulb comes off. Now, I was going to install these Hikari LEDs, but the heat sink on these is way too big and it does not fit into the housing. What I ended up using was these H11 foreign LEDs. They were smaller and were able to fit into the housing with the rubber cover on. Let's talk LED lights in projector style housings. To get the best light output / performance, you have to clock your LEDs so they point to the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. With the foreigns, you're able to adjust them 360 degrees to get that correct beam angle. Alright, driver's side done, on to the passenger side. You'll want to move the coolant overflow tank by removing the two 10mm bolts and pulling it up and setting it aside. Next, pull back on the tab right above the ECU and pull it up and out of its holding slots. Again, this is for giving you the most amount of room possible to change out your lights. And do the exact same thing you did on the other side. Change the turn signals and change the low beams. Then, put it all back together. Make sure the ECU slides back into the holding slots or it will rattle around. Reattach the overflow tank with the two 10mm bolts. Tighten them down. Then you can go on and close your hood. And you're done. That's it. Alright, here's the Jeep. It's all done. It's completed. I went for that yellow and white look. But you guys could go all white or all yellow, whatever you guys want to do. And that's it. Thanks for watching.